So in the midst of the Stanley Cup playoffs, we actually have a Game 7 tonight between Montreal and Toronto. We have some non-playoff related news to talk about, some trade rumors actually. First things first, I just want to say this, I really genuinely feel awful for fans of the Columbus Blue Jackets. That team has a hard enough time getting stars on their team in the first place, and when they do, those star players usually just end up wanting to leave. Sergei Bobrovsky, Artemi Panarin, Matt Duchene, and then obviously before this season started, Pierre-Luc Dubois, and now Seth Jones. So if you don't know what's going on with Seth Jones, over the weekend, Aaron Portzline, who covers the Columbus Blue Jackets for The Athletic, reported that Seth Jones has informed the Columbus Blue Jackets that he won't sign a contract extension this summer and will opt for free agency in 2022. So he's not a free agent this offseason, he's a free agent next offseason, but he just told them he wasn't going to re-sign, he wants to test the open market. Now, technically that doesn't mean he's 100% guaranteed to leave, he just said he wants to test free agency. He obviously could opt to re-sign with Columbus in the offseason of 2022, but it's likely not even going to get to that point now, because after the report came out of Seth Jones informing Columbus that he was going to test free agency, another report came out saying, with John Davidson at the helm of CBJ Hockey Ops, expect Jones to be traded this summer. And that really isn't a big surprise at all. It makes a whole lot of sense for Columbus to look to move Seth Jones as soon as possible now with this information, because you don't want to risk losing him for nothing, and they definitely don't want to wait till the trade deadline for this upcoming season either, because the package you would get then will be a lot less than what you could get for him now, because if you trade him now, the team that gets him will at the very least have him for a full season. So now you're pretty much up to date. Seth Jones is likely on his way out of Columbus, and it's likely going to happen sometime over the summer. So where could Seth Jones go? What could the possible return be for the Columbus Blue Jackets? That's kind of what I want to go over in this video, and maybe sometime in the near future we can do a Deal or No Deal episode dedicated to Seth Jones. Let me know if that's something that you guys would like to see. Anyways, first let's just talk about Seth Jones, the player. He's a pretty polarizing player. A lot of people have different opinions on Seth Jones. I will say that he is probably a little bit overrated by some, but I don't think he is as bad as some people make him out to be either. Yes, Seth Jones had a miserable year this season in Columbus. It happens. A lot of guys in Columbus had a miserable year this season. It's not just Seth Jones. You look at prior to this season, he was an all-star in 4 consecutive seasons. He finished 4th in Norris Trophy voting in the 2017-18 season. As of today, that was the highest Seth Jones has ever finished in the Norris Trophy race, but there were 3 other seasons in which he did receive some Norris Trophy votes. When Seth Jones is at his best, I think he is a fantastic two-way defender. This is a guy who eats up a ridiculous amount of minutes. Ever since he was traded to Columbus, he's never finished a season with them playing under 23 minutes a night. I mean, just the past 3 seasons alone, he's been averaging north of 25 minutes a game. Also, Seth Jones is a right shot defenseman, which is a sought-after position for a lot of teams, and he's still only 26 years old, so this is a guy who I think is still going to have a lot of value despite the fact that he had a miserable year. There are going to be lots of teams interested in Seth Jones. The tricky part about determining what Seth Jones' value might be on the trade market is the fact that he is set to become an unrestricted free agent at the end of next season, and he has already said, to the Columbus Blue Jackets at least, that he wants to test the open market. Now, I wonder if he's dead set on that, or maybe if he gets traded to another team, he'll change his mind and maybe sign an extension with that team before free agency. But if the team that does trade or tries to trade for Seth Jones knows that it could just be a 1-year rental, then they're obviously going to be pretty reluctant to give up valuable assets. So I feel like that definitely could make trading Seth Jones pretty difficult for Columbus, or at least them getting what they think is fair value for him pretty difficult. Now, there is something I seen brought up by a couple of people on Twitter that I thought was a really interesting idea to improve Seth Jones' trade value. Columbus could retain 50% of his salary in the final year of his deal, and that would make his cap at just $2.7 million. I mean, virtually any team could make a trade work for a player who has just a $2.7 million cap hit, so that would definitely open up a lot of doors and I think increase Seth Jones' trade value a good bit. Now, to go over a couple of teams that I think could potentially be a good fit for Seth Jones, one team I'll throw out there is the Philadelphia Flyers. Their 2 top defensemen are both left shot, Ivan Provorov and Travis Sanheim. With the extremely disappointing season that the Philadelphia Flyers just had, a lot of people are calling for them to maybe shake things up a little bit, especially on the back end, because defense and goaltending, that's kind of what let them down this year. Also, they're a team that I think has the assets to pull off a trade for Seth Jones. They have pretty much all of their draft picks. They have their first, second, third, and fourth round picks for the next 3 drafts, and they also have some prospects that I think would be pretty intriguing for the Columbus Blue Jackets, obviously depending on how much Philadelphia would be willing to give up. Another team that comes to mind and that I think could be a really interesting fit is the Edmonton Oilers. They're in for a pretty big offseason. They have a lot of pending UFAs, 2 of which are right shot defensemen who played a pretty big role for the team this year in Tyson Barrie and Adam Larsson. I think of those 2, the more likely one to return to Edmonton and re-sign is Adam Larsson. I'm not quite sure about Tyson Barrie, but even if they do lose Tyson Barrie, they could replace him maybe with a guy like Seth Jones. A right side next season of Seth Jones, Adam Larsson, and Ethan Bear that has the potential to be pretty good. And then obviously they still have Darnell Nurse on the left. The Oilers still have their first round picks for the next 3 drafts. They don't have their second for this upcoming 2021 draft, but they do have their second for the following 2 drafts. So I definitely think the Oilers could pull off a Seth Jones trade, and I have a sneaking suspicion that after how the postseason went, Ken Holland is going to be looking to make a splash this offseason. So those are just a couple of ideas off the top of my head. I'm really interested to see what you guys think about Seth Jones though. Are you one of the people that think he's extremely overrated and don't even think he's very good, or are you kind of in the same boat that I am, where yeah, he is still probably a little bit overrated, but at his best, he is still a very, very good defenseman. And I'm also interested to see where you guys think Seth Jones is going to end up, so let me know all of your thoughts on this whole situation down below in the comment section. Again, like I said at the start of the video, I do genuinely feel really bad for fans of the Columbus Blue Jackets, but as somebody who creates NHL content, this does add another exciting element to the offseason, so I'm all here for it. That is going to wrap up today's video though, so if you guys did enjoy, please be sure to leave the video a like. It's completely free and it is the best way to show your support. And most importantly, if this was your first time checking out the channel and you want more NHL content just like this, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and I will talk to you all in the next video.